Civil society organizations, Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, has faulted critics of Independent National Electoral Commission on the conduct of the 2023 general election, stating that verdicts of the courts were parts of democracy. The organization stated that the move by some Nigerians to delegitimize institutions was a vile attack on democracy. Addressing journalists, chairman of the organization, Izenwagu, admitted that this year's poll were not perfect, but maintained that the positives outweigh the negatives. Jide, we're still debating about the 2023 election. Now, I discovered that this is a situation. If it didn't go your way, the election wasn't free and fair. If it went your way, the election is okay. If it didn't go your way the other time, people will say the election was the worst we've ever had, as a setback to what we had in 2015. So depending on, and I discovered that the spirit of sportsmanship is actually dead in Nigeria.
No, some people have it, but most Nigerian politicians simply do not have that spirit of sportsmanship. We've spoken about someone who in the past congratulated the winner of an election, and after some hours took it back because his supporters had piled pressure on him. Why did you congratulate him? Why did you? Goodluck Jonathan said that too. That after I congratulated President Buhari at that time, members of his party were saying, look, we had so many, we had a quantum of evidence of rigging and all that, that he should not have done that. Look, we were rigged out, this and that. What? Jonathan never took it back. It will have been a monumental mistake for him to take back what he had said. Because as far as he was concerned, he lost the election. We are not going to have a perfect election at this stage, except we want to deceive ourselves. And perfect election, in my view, is not even simply to conduct an election that a good number of people see as free and fair. Certain things happen in our elections that should not happen at all. Politicians sending talks to disrupt polling in places where they know that they do not stand a chance of winning. And the law says, oh, once voting is characterized by violence somewhere, the vote must be cancelled in such an area. I've always believed that, look, this is wrong, because it gives ammunition to the aggressor. A situation in which you know you can't win, you do not stand a chance of winning an election somewhere, you send talks to go and chase people away, to fight people, to disrupt the balloting there. And they don't do it at the beginning of the exercise. They do it in the middle of the exercise. You know, so that you do not easily regroup and come back to do fresh polling. So when ballots get cancelled as a result of thugs invading a polling center, you have strengthened the aggressor. And politicians keep using this. I know in some states, in the Northwest and even in the Southeast, there were places where people in Ebonyi, look at the visuals that Ivy brought, where beavers machines were gathered and burnt because some people desperately wanted to win. So we need to remove that violent part from our election. We need to remove it. Because when you chase people away and you make sure that voting did not take place somewhere where you knew you couldn't win, you have kind of compromised the process. So that is one part of our electoral law, one portion of our electoral law that I believe we need to take a second look at, because it gives ammunition to the aggressor. So people now know that, look, to stand a good chance of winning, stop your opponent from having peaceful voting in areas where they are strong. That is one. We have seen clearly that when you look at the way the elections went, the presidential election was much more free and fair than the governorship election. The level of violence that I saw in the presidential election, we didn't see in the presidential election. Maybe in the governorship election. The level of violence we saw in the governorship election, we didn't see in the presidential election. And that was why some of the outcomes were like that. A situation in which the ruling party lost 12 states. You can imagine. Lost 12 states, and the 12 states they lost were some of the biggest in our country. Ordinarily, if it was in the past, they would simply sit down and write those figures. But election took place, and the ruling party was well beaten in many places. Look at Kaduna, for example. Many people could not have believed that that would happen, you know. But by the time of the governorship election, again, the violent side of our politicians came in. If you check, you know, to check the record, the rate at which ballots were cancelled in the governorship election as a result of violence was way higher than the presidential election. People just going to disrupt voting, because some people felt, I must not lose this election. I must retain my state. Those who blame INEC for virtually everything, I quarrel with them because they simply think that INEC can perform miracles. The Nigerian politician, the selfish nature of the politician, the devious nature of the politician has to be addressed. Because they are the same people who compromise INEC staff to do their bidding. So the politicians must see winning an election as not a do or die affair. Once he sees it as such, the level at which he commits money to compromising electoral officers will go down. The level at which he mobilizes stocks to go and disrupt voting where he knows he stands no chance of winning will go down. It is a collective thing. I do not see any reason why the blame should simply go to INEC alone. These politicians, they need a sort of character transplant if we are to really, really sanitize our election. It's all in their hands, in my view.
Emeka, why do we act as if we are going for war if we are planning for election?
Yeah,
because some people, you know, during the last United States election, it was like, you know, debate of ideas and everything, although it turned
there were still some issues,
along the line. But the way we prepare for election in Nigeria and the way we see things,
it's very simple. Corruption is the biggest industry in Nigeria. That is the most lucrative business in Nigeria. It trumps every other business. So when politicians go into elections, they don't have their eyes on service, going to serve. They have their eyes on going to lay their hands on the treasury, on going to dominate the entire space and to make sure that their opponents don't have a breathing space. So that's why they deploy all manner of things to make sure that they win. And this doesn't speak well of our democracy. Having lasted for 24 years, I think there are certain things we should be able to take for granted today. Generally, if you look at it, even the local government elections are even nothing to write home about. They are disastrous.
Those ones are not elections.
Those ones are not elections. Now, then come to, I think INEC itself has admitted its deficiencies, that it is not a perfect institution, that is still some distance from getting to at least an average point where it can also give itself a pass mark confidently.
You know, like you follow up now,
yes.
This thing has eaten so deep to the extent that even Nigerian Bar Association, they still contend their elections. It's like a Nigerian thing.
When corruption has eaten into every fabric of nature, what do you expect?
Not even INEC even now.
You know, people's eyes are on the till. How many have their eyes on service that, listen, during my tenure, there will certain things will not be a part of it. That integrity and honesty will be our, my watchwords. How many people have their eyes on that? So you even find out there is this trending joke on, I think on WhatsApp about somebody who said he trained his child, for election in maybe he's in the primary school or something, and he trained his child how to speak and all of that. But eventually the child lost. Why? Because the opponent shared snacks and soft drinks. So you can imagine even to children, it has gone to that level.
Vote buying like that.
So you can imagine children, and such a school won't be a public school where you say it's children of the poor.
I know that. I saw that video.
It's children of the rich. And you now find out, is it that they can't afford snacks? Is it that they don't have refrigerators
Just needed to compromise the children.
So now I just wonder, I felt, why, how could this have
when we
happened?
were growing up, were they subjecting prefectship and all that to voting? I don't know what has
they were even begging in some schools. They would beg people to become prefects.
Yeah.
You have to. In fact, the school will have to compel some people to become prefects. But
you know how it started? When I asked this question, because this generation is a self-entitled one. You see, the same, and it is some parents are to blame for the way children now think.
Yeah.
Some parents will say, according to a man that I spoke to, some parents will say, how did they decide on the senior prefect? Is my own son not good enough? So because these are paying parents, the school now felt, okay, since they want this thing to be done in form of election. Let us now cuckoo
democratize it.
Yes. So you now see children, secondary school children printing posters.
Yes, I printed poster for my daughter.
Now see them printing posters.
Yes, I printed
absolute rubbish.
That's
At this level, what are you?
So how do you expect these children to
people, parents, look, Fashola was senior prefect. Fashola, the former was senior prefect of his school. Those teachers spotted the qualities in him.
Yeah.
Did he not show those qualities in later life?
Yes.
You know? Or is it later life?
They don't even
Did
fail
he not
again.
show? They
don't repeat class again?
No.
These days, Faleke at Abdulaziz Atta Memorial College was a house prefect of Oimege House back then. They spotted the quality. He joined the school midway. He didn't start at the school. But within 1 year, they spotted his qualities, his talents. They made him a prefect.
Until today.
Those qualities are still there. You can't take it. You may hate him. You may not want anything good to come his way. But those qualities are there. You can't take them away. Even where he served during his youth service days, he led the what's it called? This when they're doing personal parade. He led them.
March past, yes.
Yes. And he was candidate for the national award that they give.
Yes, President's Award. Yes.
Qualities that some people spotted
Early.
while he was a little boy. Up to national level now, we are seeing it. If you have it, you have it. Parents bribing other students on their behalf.
With snacks and
With
drinks.
snacks and other things, where the little boy with the gift of the gab cannot win an election because he was outspent. That is what they will grow up with. They will grow up with it.
That is it.
You know? But at the end of the day, the one whose parents had money to print posters, to share snacks and the rest, may not necessarily have leadership qualities.
That is it.
But we'll be popular. We'll be popular with them because it can.
So if the leadership, if you have the leadership
Inducements.
qualities, your teachers will spot it. That's why I gave the example of Fashola, for example. There are many people like that who are senior prefects who are doing very well as leaders today. So we just have to reorientate ourselves. INEC cannot do it alone. The politician has to change his ways. The politician who puts a gun to INEC's returning officer's neck, that he should announce him as winner of an election. How do you describe that person?
Cultist.
And the man, The man reluctantly, he had to do it
For his life now.
because of his life.
You want to go?
Do you know even the money these people, I have been involved in community development, that we opened a road, 2-kilometer road, with communal effort. Not in the day we thought, okay, let's just raise some money, and we invited a local government chairman. He switched off his phone, he didn't even turn up. So that's to tell you that there are ways, as a non-governmental individual institution, you can, effect change. You don't have to be in power for you to, effect.
All right.